A narcissist snake devil will always be a narcissist snake devil, man. You can't tame a reptile, man. No matter how much you feed them, no matter how much you give them, as soon as they get that appetite, man, they'll bite you. Yeah. Now, you have to listen, especially if you haven't experienced this, because I had to learn the hard way, and it's plenty people who will never get to see the light of day again because they had to learn it the harder way, man. Now, in my videos, I talk about this dude named Charles. In Phoenix, I met this guy named Charles. He used to be in the KKK. He got into a car accident. He got crippled, and now Charles is a Christian. But Charles sells weed. Charles used to sell weed down at this place called The Zone up in Phoenix. He used to sell weed. So he got an apartment in the apartment building that I was in. So he was still selling weed. He had his customers coming to his apartment. I became one of his customers. And then we started talking. We was cool with each other. You feel what I'm saying? But he was still racist. He had that racist, jealous, envious up in him. It was hidden, but see, I can discern spirits so damn good that I always knew. You hear what I'm saying? And I was good to Charles, man. I never got credit from Charles. I always came correct. Everything was cool with Charles. I respected Charles, all of that. So I started growing trees again. I was doing it for years. I stopped, and now I'm growing again. So as I'm growing, being that Charles is dealing, and he got charisma, and he's actually a good dealer. See, because Charles created this telemarketing company up in Scottsdale, Arizona. This is when he was a millionaire and all of this type of stuff. And then things happen, and then now he's in front of me in the ghettos of damn Phoenix on Van Buren Street, right? So he knew how to communicate. He knew how to sell things. I give it to him. He did know how to do that. I know how to grow things. So we was going to, I was going to be the cultivator, and he was going to be the dealer. But he got so damn jealous. See, you would think that if you was with this person and y'all was, cool, and y'all had a business plan, and you bring something real good to the table that's going to help the business, you would think that this person would appreciate that and will see big money, like big money in the future, right? Nah, a snake, a jealous, envious narcissist, they don't see that, man. This is why I say that racism is a sickness. And you see, Charles, he realized that. He realized that at the end of all of this, he realized that he was a sick person. You see, so I grew all of this good weed, man. And I told him the rule was never tell nobody who I am. Don't tell them where you get it from. None of that. He was so evil that not only did he tell people, he told me that he told people. Have you ever had a person that felt like they didn't need to respect you so much that they will go against the grain and tell you that they went against the grain in casual conversation? He was like, "Oh yeah, I told my boy, you know what I'm saying, that you was growing a bomb weed, man. He couldn't believe it, man. But anyway, yeah, this is that." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Okay, okay." Because I'm not the type of person that just reacts just all crazy on the spot and stuff like that. It be happening in the inside. But what I'm doing is I'm plotting on how I can erase you out the whole damn picture, man. Because it's a wrap. So he was always doing little funny stuff, little evil, jealous stuff. You hear what I'm saying? Like my girl, she was working at the Cheesecake Factory. Being that he used to give us little things like little cakes for the kids, or little cookies, or a 2 liter soda, or he probably even be like, "Hey man, you need some blunts from the store," and go to the store. He was cool like that. So we felt that we wanted to be cool. We gave him a cheesecake, and he gave it away. And he told me that he gave it away. Like he was like evil, racist, and he wanted to let me know, but yet he wanted to be around me because my energy was so good. This is the confusing part about the demonic, satanic, narcissist, racist assholes. You hear what I'm saying? Because he hated me so much for my greatness, and yet that greatness is what he loved. You see, the devil is confusion, man. The devil is confusion. So one day, he come to my door and he like, "Hey, it's this guy in the back of the apartments. He's looking like weird. You know what I'm saying? Like this big guy." So we go down there, and I mean, this dude is like 6'8". I'm not exaggerating. And Phoenix had some of the tallest people I ever seen. In America, I really think that Phoenix have some of the tallest people up in Phoenix. I have seen females that was 6'4", a lot. You feel what I'm saying? It's a strong African presence up in Phoenix. See, he was like 6'8", man, like 300 pounds, like muscle type. You feel what I'm saying? He was like a strong looking dude, big bald head. And he came up, and it's him, Charles, and he like, "Hey, what's up?" And all this deep voice and stuff. I'm looking like I'm feeling dwarfed. And then all of a sudden we talking, and I already see that he on some weird stuff. And then every time Charles turned around, he tried to get my attention. So he finally got my attention, my eye contact, because I wasn't looking him in the eyes because I didn't like the nigga. I was like talking. I mean, I knew where he was at. But you know how like you looking down and around, you really not feeling the food? I finally looked at the nigga, and he licked his tongue at me like on some shit that I'm not on, right? So I shook my head like, nah. I didn't say nothing. Charles didn't even know none of this. But I shook my head like, nah. And then we finished talking. He got my attention again, and he did it again. And I shook my head like, yeah, that's what you want? And he shook his head like, yeah, like hard, like, yeah. And at that moment, I felt like, you trying to rape me, man. So I went up in the house real quick. I said, all right, hold on. I'm finna go get ready for you. And I told Charles, hey, Charles, I'll be right back. And Charles must have seen something in my eyes, because he immediately started telling the dude, hey, man, what did you do, man? You effed up, man. Get up out of here. And the dude like, man, be quiet, man. I ain't do nothing, man. Ain't nothing gonna happen. And when I came out with a little deuce five in my pocket, and I had a machete, because I wanted to chop his head. I wanted to hit him on his bald head, right? So I was like, hey, because he was he was at a distance at this time. He was gathering his stuff up while Charles was cussing him out and just telling him to leave. And then I'm like, hey, come here. And then he looked and seen that I had something, and he turned into a big old punk, a buster. I was chasing him all around that apartment building. I was scraping a machete on the ground, like in back of him. I wasn't going to even hit him with it. You hear what I'm saying? I just wanted to make him look stupid as hell because that's what he came to do, make me look stupid as hell. See, come to find out, Charles was behind all of that. Yeah, man. These people, man, that's an old ass KKK racist tactic, man, to go get a bigger Michael Clark Duncan to beat up the lesser slave. You hear what I'm saying? Man, I chased that fool up out of there. He was screaming at the top of his lungs. He was screaming at the top of his lungs. Like, help! Ah! Ah! You hear what I'm saying? And Charles looking at me with his eyes big, open. Because he already knew. But at that time, I didn't know that he was behind it. So one day, I'm up in the house and he arguing with this one dude. And then he started screaming my name. He was like, I'm gonna go get my boy. He's screaming my name and all of this stuff. I'm up in the house, I'm asleep, I'm watching my kids, man. I'm just chilling, just, taking a nap. And when I looked out the window, it was a dude that don't mess with nobody, right? He actually was my homie. And I'm like, oh man. And when all of that was over with, I came at Charles like, man, don't ever call my name again. You feel what I'm saying? I'm watching my kids up in here. You put me up in that stuff like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that no more. So he got offended and all of that. And then he called his brother-in-law. His brother-in-law had a gang of pistols. You hear what I'm saying? We're talking about KKK, and I'm talking about heat. I'm talking not like no little stuff. So I guess to intimidate me, but I'm really not afraid of a lot of guns because it only takes one gun to kill you. You feel what I'm saying? I don't need like 1,000 guns. Plus, at this time, I wasn't messing with guns anyway. I was more evolved in my weaponry. You hear what I'm saying? Understand this, that if you listen to me real close, if you need knives and guns and bulletproof vests and homies to come and get me and come to war with me, then you already lost. You hear what I'm saying? You already lost, bruh. And I'm going to put it like that. And see, Charles didn't understand that at that time, so he was still with the intimidation and stuff. Although I'm in the right, although I come out to defend myself and my name, and you already done violated with bringing the big dude, you done already violated with telling the people that I'm the connect. You already violated with putting my name out there with some gangsters. This dude was a gangster, a shooter, but he was cool with me though. See, that's what they'd do. They'd try to start putting you in beef, man. They will create a beef. This dude was smart. He knew what he was doing. You see, he was too much of a coward in the races to get rid of me on his own. So he tried to hire other people without these people even knowing that they were being hired. This is how evil they are, like killing two birds with one stone. You hear what I'm saying? So, to make a long story short, Charles was living up under the PPP king. The PPP king was this dude named Puff. He was a white dude too. He wasn't part of the KKK, but he was Aryan. Like, it was differences, they said, but they down was like the same. But you see, Puff, he was more with like gangsters, and he did hang with black people and bikers and different things. Charles was a traditional down south type racist. And Puff was more like a penitentiary, like Aryan brother type, like you hear what I'm saying? So he was the PPP king because he was the one that was doing all the PPP loans at the time. You hear what I'm saying? He made like $1 million. And then one night he up in the pool. It's like around this time. It is 3:33 right now, and I just turned around. It's 3:33 on the clock. Look, it was around this time, like 3 or something like that, right? And me and my girl was up. We were smoking a blunt, and then all of a sudden, we just hear him just screaming because they was up in the pool. They used to get high and just swim in the pool all night and stuff like that. Up in Phoenix, it be hot as hell. So at like 3 in the morning, it's still like 100 degrees. So they swimming in the pool. All of a sudden, I hear Puff screaming. I come out and his whole house is on fire. His apartment is on fire. He lived on top of Charles. And when the fire department came and put the fire out, they just spray the water everywhere. So it soaked all of Charles' stuff. This was the beginning of the end of Charles. It soaked up all Charles' stuff. Puff, Puff, he lost everything. He even ran up to me while the fire was starting, like, go up in there, man. Go up in there, I'll pay. I was like, hell no. I mean, the flames was literally like, you could literally see the flame. And everybody in the apartment building was all out, all the kids, everybody, every single body looking at it. Well, Charles, he wasn't able to come back up in his place. He lost every single thing. It got water damaged because when they was putting out puffs at the top, all of the water fell to the bottom. You hear what I'm saying? The dude that he was telling that I was selling weed, he went up in the bathroom and did some fentanyl and died. You hear what I'm saying? This was like a couple of weeks later, back to back, back to back. His electric wheelchair, Charles's electric wheelchair, it went out. Because remember, he was paralyzed. It went out, and he had to use the regular wheelchair. And it was the summertime up in Phoenix. It was like 118 degrees that year, man, on everything. And he was just so sunburned and he was so pitiful that I used to tell God, like, God, please have mercy on him, man. Come on, stall him out, God. He just is like withering. He withered so much that he wrote a note and he put it on a tree in front of my house, and he said, I am you. Please, brother, stop it. I am you. And then I was like, once it's turned on, man, you can't turn it off. Like, you the one who is the snake rat bastard. You is not me. Look, when I'm pleading with you and I'm giving you a lot of more chances, it's really because I know what my God is going to do to you. You hear what I'm saying? Let me tell you one more incident. Now, I still remember this day. This was December 12th, 2021. It was a Sunday. I remember that day because the next day, December 13th, was going to be my twin boy's birthday, right? So it's this dude. I remember his name was damn, what was his name? No, Ghost. Ghost. I was going to say Casper. His name was Ghost. He was a black dude, right? And I remember one day, some months before, me and Charles, before we got into it and all of that, we up in Charles' house, we smoking some weed and stuff, we talking, and then Ghost just walked up in the door, right? And he tell me what's up. And then he just go up to Charles, like he just walk up into Charles' apartment, right? And then he get on his knee and tell Charles something in his ear and all that, and he leave. And Charles like said, hey, lock the door, man. And I locked it. I'm like, you wasn't expecting that? And he was like, hell no. And I'm like, oh man, don't be just having the door unlocked if you got your pistol or something. He like, yeah, I got my pistol, but I mean, I know him like, and I'm like, oh nah. I already knew that the dude was kind of weird, right? I could sense that. I haven't seen him in a long time. Well, one day, a couple of months later, after Charles' house already got water damage and puffed and moved, they gave Charles another apartment after like 2 months. He had to stay in a motel. They gave him a voucher, then they gave him an apartment, and now he's in this new apartment. And since God messed him up, I forgave him, and we started talking again. I wasn't going to tell him none of my business or anything like that. I knew how to talk to him, but I forgave him. And one day I'm sitting up, and this one dude come up in the apartments hoodied up, right? So I'm like, who is this? But when he turned around, I seen that it was Ghost. And I was like, oh, that's Ghost from a couple of months ago, the dude that came up into Charles' house. And then, hours went on by hours. And I seen Ghost down there by Charles' house, but I didn't think nothing of it because they always knew each other. You feel what I'm saying? But I had this knife because I was about to move from them apartments. I had this knife that I wanted to show Charles because I always used to tell him about this knife that was wood carved by a native, a guy from the Navajo Nation, right? So I was going to go show him before I leave, like, this is the knife. So I went down there and I'm like, this is the knife. But he like, hey, Nick, hold on, right? Look at this dude. And he pointed at Ghost, and I'm like, yeah, what about him? And he like, I don't like this dude. I don't even know this motherfucker. And I'm like, you do know him. That's Ghost. And he said, what? And he looked, because see, what happened was Ghost transformed into his demonic self. This was after the Rona. And one thing I could say about Charles is he had the spiritual eyes and he could see the people that they was changing. And Ghost was one of the first person who changed. Like, he looked at like a damn totally different person, right? And Charles was like, what? He was like, hey, I know you, man. You Ghost. And he was like, hey, how you know me, man? It was like Ghost was under a disguise that he was surprised that we knew him. I was like, oh, him? Oh, that's Ghost. And Ghost was like, you know me? I'm like, yeah, what's up, Ghost, man? You the homie, man. I remember you used to stay here. Remember, I know you. I know the night you came up in Charles' house. Yeah, I remember you, man. Remember I gave you some cigarettes? He like, oh, yeah. But he's totally demoned out, right? Why? Because he's there to kill Charles, man. Listen. I seen it up in his eyes, and then he looked at my knife and he told me the exact knife type it was and all of that. And I was like, oh, he was like, can I see it? And I was like, oh, hell no. I told him that. I was like, I ain't letting you touch my knife, bro. And he was like totally changed. His face was smaller, his head was smaller, he was blacker, he was like shinier. He just looked different. And Charles couldn't even see that was the same damn person that he used to hang out with a couple of months ago. But he came back for some reason, and Charles was like, man, this dude been in front of my door all day, looking in my window and all that. And I said, hey, Charles, this is a killer. You hear what I'm saying? I said it right in front of Ghost. We was talking in front of him. It was like he was out of it, like he was there, but he wasn't. He was coming in and out. We was outside. He wasn't right up on us, but he was still like a tiger, like in the parking lot. Then he'd come on the rocks, and then it was like he was, I could see it. I was like, he finna kill this dude. I told y'all about the time right across the street, right over there, when I seen that one guy hop on that homeless dude, man. You hear what I'm saying? It was like the same thing. So they literally had to call the police. When I seen the spirit up in the dude, I was like, oh, I can't do nothing about it. Like I'm physically not going to fight him. If you understand what I'm talking about, then you would be digging it right now, man. I can't physically fight him. Understand that, bruh. There's a look that they be having that I know, like, oh, this dude is not gonna feel no pain. And this is gonna be like fighting somebody that's on Sherm. This is gonna be like fighting somebody on PCP, man. Now, back in the days, these dudes, it's stories of people turning over cars on PCP, climbing up trees, hitting the ground until they whole fist break. Yeah, on PCP, man, people pushing, man, trying to pull up the damn fire hydrant. And it is moving, man. See, the youngsters don't understand the era of the PCP, man. But when you messing with these demonic things, that's what you messing with. If you ever want to see how it'll be fighting a fully demonic, a possessed person, that's the rage one, like them guys is, then look at something on PCP. Read up on what Sherm used to do to people. Okay, so he came to get Charles. They had to call the police. He wasn't afraid of the police. The police was afraid of him. Like everybody seen it up in him that he was killer. He was killer. At this time, we decided to move from Phoenix because this part of Phoenix, because it's like they opened up the gates to a mental institution and start letting all these highly demonic sodomite demonic beasts about, man. And they start coming to the neighborhood and into the apartment building. But yeah, Charles, I had to save him, man. Ghost, he respected me. You hear what I'm saying? He chilled out. He got his distance from Charles until they could call the police and get this nigga some mental help because he was about to kill Charles. After Charles seen who he was and I talked to him that night after it was over, he knew that he was about to get killed. He even knew that I came down there to save him after it all started unraveling. And after that, he still snitched on me again. So that goes to show you that you can't never, ever, ever, ever trust a snake, rat, bastard, narcissist, racist, man. You hear what I'm saying? Peace.